Welcome back to another podcast episode where we help aspiring developers get jobs and junior developers grow. I invited Nikki back on. That's right. She was an old guest. Well, a guest in an old podcast episode. And from where we left off, she had graduated a coding bootcamp, got her internship position, and she was looking for a full-time position after that. So we are going to go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into how that transitioned into a full-time role and get a feel for, frustrations, what she thought helped with the job search process. But I'm going to stop talking. Nikki, welcome back. How are you doing?
Thank you. I am great. How are you?
I am doing really good. I know the BrainStation review that we did seemed to help out a lot of people because I don't review a lot of coding boot camps in Canada. But I want you to think back, actually. So think back. When did you graduate BrainStation? Do you remember?
Yeah, I graduated June of last year.
June of last year. And then you got your internship in December that year, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you find an internship position? A lot of people are searching for those, but they just can't find them.
Mm-hmm. Good question. So when I started job searching, I, applied to a bunch of job applications on LinkedIn, Indeed, popular, what's it called? Job
Posting websites?
Yeah, posting
Sure.
websites. And I wasn't getting a lot of people responding to me. It was either no response at all or an automated no, we don't want you, but nicer than that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I did a monthly check-in with my career success manager, Michael. And every month we would talk about what I've been doing, what projects I've been working on, how many jobs I've applied to, have I been working on my portfolio, my resume, stuff like that. And I said, yeah, I've been working on my portfolio and I've been doing a couple of small projects, but I'm still not getting anything. Still no one's replying to me. And he told me that maybe I should start applying to companies that are posted on AngelList, because AngelList is a job post site for a bunch of startup companies. And he was like, yeah, well, startup companies are smaller, more likely to get back to you. So I applied to a few jobs there. And so I finally got a reply. Actually, I got a couple of interviews from AngelList, and Communico was one of them. But Communico was the only one who actually got back to me. I remember I had two other interviews from AngelList, and they sort of just ghosted me. And when I followed up, they were like, "Oh, sorry, we stopped hiring." But yeah, I did an interview with Communico, and then the following week they gave me an offer for an unpaid internship from December to I think the end of February. So 3 months-ish. Yeah, 3 months. And then after my internship, they said, "Hey, Nikki, we like you. Please stay. We'll give you an offer." And actually, fun story, I also had applied to another job. Can't remember what the company was, but they gave me an offer at the same time. So I had to choose between two different job offers, and I told my career success manager, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the worst. How do I choose between two companies?" And he's like, "That's not a problem. That's a good problem to have." And I think the offers were pretty even, but the other company, they had I think it was a Shopify developer position. And their compensation was pretty even. So I figured, with Communico, at least I'm like actually coding and designing. I feel like I would, grow a lot more within the community and what I'm learning within the company and what I was learning there. So I decided to stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So struggling a lot, you applied to AngelList. When you applied on AngelList, did it list it as an internship position?
That's a good question. I don't remember. I think it did. But so. Yeah. And I think they did specify that there was no salary, but I double checked anyway just to make sure. But yeah.
Okay.
I think it was listed as an internship.
That's a hard choice to make, to go for an internship position that's not going to pay you at all, that's going to require a lot of time. What made you decide that it was worth it?
Okay, well, when I was doing my job applications, it was, I think, so June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, 6 months after I had graduated, I saw a lot of people that were in my cohort who got jobs like maybe 3 months after graduation. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's all so awesome. Like, I can't wait for that to be me. But then a month went by, another month went by, and I still had no job. So I kind of reached a point where I was like, man, maybe I should have gone into nursing or something. Like, maybe this is not for me. Because, I had the same qualifications, I think, as the people in my cohort. But I do admit, those people that I saw got jobs on LinkedIn, they're a lot smarter than me. So, like, I'm not even mad, but
don't say that.
Yeah, I just, no, they are. When I was in school with them, they were brilliant. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. But yeah, no, I reached a point where I was like, okay, I'll just, I'll take anything. And actually, right after grad, I told myself I wouldn't settle for a job that paid less than like my minimum requirement. And I ended up with an internship that paid me nothing. But yeah, I don't know. I got the offer for the internship, and I told my career success manager, I'm kind of on the fence about this, because I'd spoken to a mentor beforehand, someone else who went to a different boot camp, and I reached out to him while I was applying for jobs, and he said, don't ever take an internship that doesn't pay you, because they don't care about you. If they can't pay for your time, just don't do it. But I spoke with Michael, my career success manager, and he said, you know what? It's something to put on your resume. It's, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And, I wasn't getting any jobs, so I figured I might as well do it. And I'm pretty sure they have the expectation that I'm still job searching, because it is an unpaid internship. So if I do get a job, then, I'll take it. They can't, sort of be mad at me because they're not paying me. So I took the internship, and there were, I think, 10 developers that were also doing an internship when I started. And after 3 months, they decided, hey, we want to keep you. And I was super excited about that, because I never thought that, at that point, I never thought that I would actually land a full-time job, and I did. So that was super exciting for me, super, a pretty big accomplishment. Yeah. Coming from someone who graduated a boot camp, I was feeling a lot of imposter syndrome, just because I wasn't one of those people who did, 4 years of computer science in university or like hands-on program in college. So it was kind of like, I only did 3 months of this. Like, why would anyone hire me? Right? So that was pretty fun. And I feel like I learned a lot from that internship. Even though they didn't pay me they didn't give me monetary compensation in those 3 months, I feel like I took a lot from it.
So one thing I can definitely relate. I have a psychology degree. It's collecting dust. I don't use it. And I remember going to the coding boot camp. Psychology degree too? Yeah. I feel like we mentioned this on the last podcast episode.
Yeah, twins.
But yeah. I don't know if I should feel proud of the degree, because I feel like I'm just paying this giant expense. And I remember thinking, okay, like I remember how much time I had to invest into this degree. How in the world is anyone going to hire me for a programming position if I don't go back for computer science? Like, I don't have the energy to do this. I don't have the money to do this. And it's like, I remember going to a boot camp and thinking, and seeing all these other people with computer science degrees that are just like nailing these data structures and algorithm challenges. I'm struggling. Yeah. I'm struggling so hard on it. And I'm struggling with other things in the curriculum. And I'm like, I don't even know, like, why would someone hire me over all these other people that are like clearly smarter than me, clearly excelling in class? Like, this is insane. I remember feeling that way for a long time in my coding boot camp. And when you come out of it, and if you're struggling to find that job, you see other people getting that job, just like, am I not smart enough? Am I meant to do this? Do I just go back to my old career? And I was frustrated. I was discouraged. So I can definitely relate a lot to that. So I kind of feel I get why you accepted that unpaid internship. Mm-hmm. And you're right. It did help your resume, and it does look good. If you had to go back when you were struggling, you couldn't find a job, would you do the unpaid internship all over again?
That is a good question. I feel like I would have. Like, I feel like it put me in like a really good position to stand out, because, okay, this is like, just for the company, story. I was talking with my manager at the company that I'm with now, and I was talking, I don't know how we got to the topic of imposter syndrome, but we did. And he's like, do you want to know why I voted to hire you? And I said, heck yeah, dude. Like, please validate me. Yeah. But yeah, he said, I voted to hire you because when we were doing the interview, you said that you did this internship wherein you stepped up to be a design lead. And that's not something that you had too much experience in, but it was a job that needed to be done. So that tells me that you're a person who's willing to get the job done, and you're a person who's willing to, step up, even if you're not completely experienced in whatever the job is. It means that you're willing to learn. It means that you're open to learn. And, he said he's a person who, if you're willing to learn, then I'm willing to teach you. So he saw that as a very good trait to have in like someone that they wanted to hire. So he was like, yeah, that's pretty impressive. And I don't know if I would have gotten that opportunity if I had worked as a junior developer somewhere else, because most jobs that are hiring for a junior developer are only hiring for a junior developer, not someone to, take over design because they don't have a designer. So yeah, I feel like if I could go back and do it all over again, I would.
Okay. So I'm going to get this selfish thought out of the way. I am probably going to ping you for some design ideas.
Okay, cool.
Suck at design. I'm just giving you a heads up right now. It'll be a very short question because I'm curious what you learned. But with that said, I think that's really cool. So you're right. Maybe you wouldn't have gotten that position as a full-time developer. I mean, you did step up. And there are a lot of developers, and I made a choice in my career with my first position where we transitioned into WordPress. And it was going to be pretty heavy WordPress and PHP for as far as I could see. And I decided, nope, I'm not going to do that. That's not where my career is heading. And so, I made a choice to continue pursuing JavaScript and getting more comfortable with it. And so I went heavier into those types of positions. So, I would almost say that your path and what you chose to do to step up for the design role, which not a whole lot of people would do, it is very admirable. It is, because you don't know design. You went from psychology, and I was fighting against doing the twinsy hand signal. That's why I paused for a second when you did that. But you learned psychology, and you then learned software engineering in such a quick time. Then you learned design in such a quick time. That's not a lot of people can even do that. So for you, it's funny for you just feeling like I can't get a developer. I'm not as smart as my other classmates. Like you're picking up all these skills so quickly. Like you are incredibly smart, and that's going to take you very far in your career. So, you had this argument against like unpaid internship. Is it worth it? Is it not? You made the most out of it. You got the most value out of it, and you probably got your full-time position with it. So yeah, you said you would repeat it. I think I understand it. That's pretty cool.
It's all in how you view your situation. If you make it a positive thing, then a positive thing will come out of it, And also, my manager also mentioned, usually when people say they have design experience on their resume, he goes to check if they actually have design experience, and usually it's not that great. And he was like, wow, when I actually saw your Communico designs and everything, he was like, wow, I'm actually impressed. This is not usual, because sometimes when people say they have design, it's usually to just flourish their resume, and they don't actually do design.
Right.
But yeah, I did my research on it because I didn't want to, step up to the plate and end up not, making things look good. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And you have to be careful about what you do list on the resume. I just released a video about this, but I mean, if you list it on your resume, you can be asked that question. And if you're kind of caught not knowing anything about it and you listed it, it's like, it doesn't really look good for you. So
yeah.
So I think we have an idea of the major change that really changed your job search for the better. And it finally landed you that full-time position. It was that unpaid internship. You stepped up to the plate. You learned something that you didn't even go to the coding bootcamp for. You showed that you could pick it up. Thinking back to your job search, can you think of your most frustrating moment where you might have almost given up?
That's a good question. I feel like it was the entire thing. I don't know. I think I was applying for jobs that I thought were super cool. And they just kept saying no. And sometimes, I think the most frustrating thing was when people would reach out to me saying, hey, I saw you on blah, blah, blah. Would you like to send your resume or put in an application for the job we're hiring for. And then I'd send an application, and then they would say, okay, never mind, no thank you.
Oh no.
Like, why would you reach out to me and then reject my application? Like, you saw my LinkedIn if you're reaching out to me from LinkedIn. I don't understand. So that was pretty frustrating, because I would get those messages. I'd get super excited. I'd tell my friends, I'd tell my family, I'd tell Michael, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, someone reached out to me. And then they'd get excited for me too. And then I'd send an application and I don't even get an interview. So that was super frustrating. I did not like that. And also just, there's an overwhelming amount of people that, like, they will get back to you 2 months after you applied. And I don't understand that. I don't, like, if you're not going to reply to the people who, I mean, I understand that there's a lot of people who put out an application, but even Shopify got back to me, and they're massive. So if they can do that, other companies can do that as well. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, kudos to you for calling out all those companies that are kind of just ghosting you. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like a lot of people are going to relate to your story. I feel like a lot of people are frustrating. Like how you described, like, I think the whole job search was frustrating. And
yeah, 100%.
And it's frustrating. Well, first of all, like, it's kind of funny to hear that, but when you think about it, like, being that discouraged and frustrated for that long, because you spent so many months. It's not even like you were frustrated for a week. It's just like when you go month after month after month, that can wear on you.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are going to relate to this. I appreciate you sharing that. So let's dive into something a little bit more positive. So you got your unpaid internship, led to a full-time role, and then you got your first full-time role that wasn't attached to that internship experience. And that's with the manager that you were just describing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's hear about it. How's that position going so far?
It's going really, really well. I'm so excited to be part of the company. I remember the first interview I had, I met with the CTO, and I thought that was super cool because he co-created BBM. So to me, that was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting with a superstar. That's
oh wow, so cool. You were a fan.
Yeah, okay. I was. And so after my interview with him, he's very nice, very fun to talk to. It was a great conversation. And so after my interview, I was like, okay, sick. I want this job. Hope they hire me. And then the next day, they sent me an invite for another interview. And then I met with 2 other developers, one being my manager right now. And I also thought that went really well. They were very, very nice people. And then they sent me another invite for a 3rd interview. And there I did a short work sample, and we did sort of a little bit of a code review. And that one I was super nervous for because I've never done a code review. And also, whenever I did anything technical in my interviews, they're usually like, I feel like you should work on this more. So okay. that made me nervous. But after that interview, they were like, wow, it looks great. And I told them that I learned Redux Thunk last minute because part of the instructions were use React Redux to create a something, And I'd used Redux in my previous job, but I wasn't the one who set up the whole structure of everything. So I knew how to like input the API calls and stuff like that, but I didn't know how to set it up. So I Googled everything and I managed to make it work, and they were like, wow, you didn't know Redux that well and you like tackled Redux Thunk. And I said, yeah, it was the first thing that showed up on Google, so I didn't know what else to do. But I made it work, and that was super impressive. But also, tip to everyone that's applying to a job, don't learn something new, apply with what you know. It just happened to work for me, but usually they tell you don't like accommodate them because they want to see what you know. Yeah. So if they code in Python and you know JavaScript, don't try to learn Python last minute. Or do, I don't know, I don't, whatever works for you. Anyway, so after that, I thought, okay, 3 interviews down. Next, they're probably going to tell me if, they want to hire me or not. And then I get an invite for another interview.
Oh my God.
Like, oh my gosh, like, are they going to tell me that I'm hired? Is that what the other interview is for? No, that's not what it was for. It was to meet people in different departments, not in engineering. And it was more behavioral type questions, I guess, just to see like the culture fit. And so I did all 4 of those interviews. And then they were like, okay, now we need references. So I gave them references. And I guess those references were pretty good because they offered me the job. And I was on vacation when I got the offer. And what's funny is I actually saw all of the congratulations emails before I saw the actual offer, because the offer ended up in my junk mail for some reason.
Okay.
So everyone was like, hey, Nikki, I heard that you got an offer, congrats. And I was like, okay, cool, but where's the offer? And I didn't have good Wi-Fi at the time, so I was checking my junk mail and like my main inbox, and it wasn't there. So then I finally got it, and I was super excited. It was super cool. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I have not stopped talking about this since my first interview. And literally after every interview, I would tell, my friend's family, boyfriend, I want that job. I want that job. And they'll be like, okay, you got that job. Like, this is your 4th interview. And I'm like, but what if they don't like me? But yeah, I got the job and I started, I think, 3 weeks ago. I started on the 3rd of August. And it's pretty cool. Their onboarding is pretty, it's a lot of information, but it's useful information. And then the week after, I paired with a lot of the people on my team, which was pretty cool because I got to learn how people operated, how their processes work, which was pretty awesome because I haven't experienced that since my coding bootcamp. And yeah, so I'm super excited about it. We're starting a new project this week that's supposed to go until September-ish. So very exciting stuff. I am still super excited to be here. I don't know. It'll wear off eventually, but maybe it won't. I don't know.
What'll wear off?
My excitement.
Oh, your excitement. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, enjoy it while it lasts. Absolutely. I mean, Nikki, you should be proud of yourself. I remember, just someone that's willing to do a full-time, was your unpaid internship full-time?
I don't think they expected us to work full time, but I mean, I was bored and I had nothing else to do. So
you put the hours in.
Yeah.
Okay, so you put all those hours into an unpaid internship, and you kind of just kept pushing through, even with you being so discouraged. I mean, that's awesome. Seriously, you should be proud of yourself right now. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, when I got the first job, I thought, hey, maybe they just thought to keep me because they hired me as an intern and they liked me. And then I got my second developer job and I realized like, oh wait, maybe I'm actually good at what I'm doing. It's not just a fluke. They didn't just, hire me as an intern and kept me for fun, I don't know. So that was, I think my second dev job was like, getting that job offer was pretty big for me because it really gave me a sense of confidence in myself as a developer.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right in realizing that. And, I really do wish you the best in your career. I think it's going to be a very bright one for you. Did you negotiate the offer of your most recent position?
I did not, because it was more than what I asked. They asked me what I wanted as my salary, and they gave me more. So I was like, okay, I'm done.
That was a good move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's awesome. It basically tells me that you could have asked for more, you could have earned more. But, one thing, like going into any other position, even for promotions with that company, I mean, more so with future positions, like giving a range is a really healthy thing to do, because when you do say, I want this salary, and they give you more, like for you to negotiate again, that's ridiculous. You're just going to annoy the company at that point. So I think you made the right move with that, but it sounds like they care about you. It sounds like, it's going to be a good experience. So that's awesome.
They really do. That's one of their company values, is that people first, and they really do put people first. And in regards to negotiation, I did negotiate with my first company.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm not afraid of negotiating. Don't be afraid of negotiating. Anyone who's applying or asking for a promotion, if you believe that you deserve more, definitely speak up for yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice. I completely agree. Most people are scared to negotiate that first position. So you keep saying like, don't really have a lot of confidence, not smart enough, but you made a lot of good moves in your career. You really did. And you made confident moves, whether you realize it or not. So that's awesome. Nikki, thanks so much for coming on and sharing all this.
Thanks so much for having me back. It was so fun. Always is.
Yeah, absolutely. If people want to reach out to you, where could they reach you?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am Nikki Noriega. My profile picture is the girl with the flowers. And if you click on the profile picture, it should look like me. And also, I think that's it. I don't really have any other plugs. So LinkedIn.
All right. Follow her on LinkedIn. Exactly. All right. Well, if you like this episode, let me know. I want to do more episodes like this where I share people's journeys and stories, because I think, sometimes on YouTube, all you see is kind of just advice, a lot of advice. And I think there's a lot more depth to people's journeys, and there's a lot of advice you can get from hearing other people's journeys. And, Nikki, like you shared, like that imposter syndrome, like you went into depth with how it was, really frustrated. You thought everyone else was smarter than you. You weren't even meant for this, and for you to finally come out on top, I think it's going to be very encouraging. So, once again, thanks for hopping on, and thanks for sharing your story, Nikki.
Of course. Thank you.